Welcome to the Bougie Baldie Podcast with your host, Kellie Rhymes.
Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bougie Baldie Podcast. My name is Kellie. I am a women's hair loss support and authenticity coach, and I help women go from insecure to confident when it comes to their hair loss. Hair loss is a very, very challenging journey, and you may need some support emotionally and mentally, and I'm the person that can help you get through it, and as well as help you get to the place to where you're feeling comfortable and embracing whatever look you choose to embrace regarding your hair loss. Now, today I have a very, very special guest. Her name is Tara Fields, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Tara, okay? So, Tara Fields has been bald for about 7 years. She has severe scarring on the top left side of her scalp due to having two craniotomies, one in 2006 and another in 2016. Since being bald, she has learned the power of embracing her own flaws, and her deepest desire is to be able to empower other beautiful females who lack the self-esteem right now to own their confidence. All right, welcome, Tara.
Hello.
All right. So, first of all, I struggled, of course, with saying the term craniotomies, and I'm sure I probably messed it up again. I don't know what that is. So, can you tell the audience what is that?
It's a brain surgery. I've
Okay.
had 2 brain surgeries.
Okay, that's major. And
Yeah.
anything with the brain, we know that's major. Okay.
Right.
So, is it when do they kind of like take a piece of your skull out? Like, I know with brain surgery, they have to cut into your skull. So that's just kind of obvious. Is it
Yes.
like a hole or a line? Like, how did they, can you explain it?
Well, what happened is, if you could see, I don't know if you can zoom in and see, there's a line in the middle of my forehead that goes over to my left side.
Okay.
Both surgeries were actually in the same location. I had a benign brain tumor called a meningioma. Like you mentioned, one in 2006 and the
Mm-hmm.
other in 2016. And it is where they cut your skull open, and you hate to say it like this, but they pull it back, your skin back, and
Okay.
they remove the tumors
Wow. And they had to do that twice.
2
Oh
times.
my gosh. I know that alone, just having surgery
Yes.
was just a major thing for you. So, can you talk about like what was your experience going through that journey of having to have those two surgeries?
Well, the first one was very rough because I was only 30.
Okay.
So 30 years old and being told that you have a brain tumor, you don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
So that was hard for me. I was a single mom. My son was 8 years old at the time.
Okay.
So thank God I did have family support that was there for me throughout the process. There were some things that I did have to relearn. There even now, as far as like my hearing, I have very limited hearing in my left ear.
Mm-hmm.
My second surgery, I wasn't prepared. I just started having headaches again. And so I went to the doctor. Like, I knew something was wrong with me, but I thought it was stress because I was going through a lot at the time.
Okay.
But unfortunately, he did tell me after we had several CAT scans that the tumor had regrown. So that
Mm-hmm.
led me into a state of depression because I absolutely did not want to have to go through that, again.
Mm-hmm.
So it happened. I had my surgery November 8th of 2016, my second surgery.
Okay.
Fortunately, they were able to go into the same location and remove the tumor again.
Okay. And since then, you hadn't had any regrowths and any complications. You've been good.
Yes, I have. For the most part, I still have to go and get MRIs. Now, I do still have another meningioma in the back of my head. Where they come from, I don't know. How was I chosen one? I don't know, but it
Okay.
does not cause problems. We have to monitor it, every 6 months.
Okay.
So I've had a headache And I tell people when they say, well, you got a headache. Yes, I've had a headache, a constant headache for a long, long time, but I've gotten used to it.
Oh, I know
Yeah.
that's just something that's something you don't want to get used to. Like a
No.
headache is a nagging and
Yes.
irritating
Yes.
thing. And to
Yes.
constantly have to deal with that is not fun.
No, it's not. And there are some activities that I can't participate in because it affects my, balance and that type of thing. I can't even walk backwards. I can't walk a long line backwards. And we always laugh about that, but it leads to dizziness. And there are just some things that I had to accept,
Okay.
with having this.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that and being like
Sure.
very open about that
Yeah.
because a lot of people wouldn't be comfortable, but you were.
Mhm.
So thank you for sharing. Now you said you had hair loss for 7 years, right?
Yes.
Now was it caused by the surgeries? Is it something like, do you also have another form of alopecia? What caused you to, I guess, have hair loss? Have you been diagnosed with anything else or what?
No, I have not been diagnosed with anything else. Actually, the few times that I have gone to the doctor and the dermatologist, they both said the same thing. It was just the hair loss from my surgery,
Okay.
severe scarring in the top of my head.
Okay.
Because actually, when you have anywhere you have surgery and there's hair, it has to be shaved.
Right.
And they really did shave it, and it just never did just grow back fully the way I was hoping that it would.
So is your hair loss only in the area where you had the surgery, and your hair still kind of grows other places and you just cut it off, or?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's
Yes.
what I kind of wanted
Yes.
to know. So like what have been some of like the initial, or I should say, what were the initial challenges when you realized like, hey, I'm gonna have to cut my hair off because of this surgery and this is the new look I have to have. What did you go through?
Trying different things. Now I can go back to my first surgery. At
Mm-hmm.
30 years old, there was no way in the world I would actually just walk around with a bald head.
Right.
Like I just couldn't see that. I never even thought about doing that
Mm-hmm.
because being young and there was fashion. But then turning 40, I really just didn't think about it hard because I'll be honest, what really just led me to it was because I was like trying all these different hairstyles. Right after surgery, I did the scarves. I would do different hair pieces or whatnot, and I was actually spending a whole lot of money. Just doing that, and I was like, I can't afford this. And what I do is I'll spend money getting not one weed, 2 weeds, 3 weeds at a time, just to see which one fits best because I did not want to go out, with the top of my head without hair. I
Right.
would do extensions and that type of thing. And one day I was just sitting and I was calculating and I said, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So there was a picture that I took. I'll never forget. My brother's a barber
Mm-hmm.
and he had come to my place and he shaved my hair before surgery. And I posted the picture and he's actually bald.
Mm-hmm.
And people just said, that's beautiful. And I wasn't expecting that. And
Okay.
so I gradually went into wearing a low haircut first. Because like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I had my own personal barber and there were styles that he would do. Until one day I just was like, I don't want anything. I think it was like this time of the year. And I
Mm-hmm.
just decided to accept it.
And it was just that easy, huh?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it really was, but it's not to where I can say it didn't bother me because it did. It really did bother me. And it was kind of like tears were shed. And I felt like I was starting over.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
did feel that way. Like I don't have to hide this. I don't have to keep it a secret. I want to be comfortable.
So when do you think though that when you cut your hair that initial time and the people gave you all the compliments, do you think that helped you to
Yeah.
say, you know what, let me just wear it bald?
Absolutely. There's
Okay.
no way. And like I said earlier, I didn't just go completely bald. Like I
Mm-hmm.
did partial quick weaves. I would where the sides were shaved and I had hair in the top. And
Mm-hmm.
then I would get lower with that and lower with it. I would do different colors like the blonde to blend in with my scalp, the
Mm-hmm.
platinum look. And then eventually I just went no hair.
Okay. All right. Now, you mentioned a little bit earlier about your scar from the surgery.
Yes.
So, how did that affect you, or did it affect your self-esteem? Just the scar itself, like, has that affected you?
Yes, it has. Goes back to, once again, being 30 and
Uh-huh.
you have a scar in the middle of your forehead, that goes halfway your head all the way over to the side. And you can't really just see it, but on the left side, right above my ear, I have a
Mm-hmm.
keloid.
Okay.
So that really bothered me also. And I went through a lot of different procedures to get that keloid removed. So now it's flat. But in the process of that, I had to get used to it. The stairs, I still laugh about my niece. Kids have no filter
No.
whatsoever.
No, they do not.
Yeah. So she was just looking at it horrified one day. You're like, what is that? So I was like, thank God you are my niece.
Uh-huh.
And we would talk about it. I started getting used to it. Fortunately, I was able to get steroid injections into it, and it made it completely flat.
Okay.
So by the time I had my second surgery, that was a fear factor of mine, not knowing if that keloid was going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, it did not. But I still, they ended up going into the middle of my forehead, the same place. So it made my incision even deeper. So my head is kind of a little low
Indented.
left, high right. You can see it,
Yeah.
but I'm okay with it. I mean, my scar is my testimony. Like, it really is my testimony. So I would rather be here to talk about my scar than not be here. So that is my major motivation with it. It's just the fact that I can look at it every day, 2, 3 times a day, or whenever, because whenever I'm looking at myself, I have to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I accept it.
So, what was the process, or how did you get to that point to being able? Because I know in the beginning, even like when I first started having hair loss and things like that, it was hard for me to even look at myself,
Yeah.
right? And you
Right.
gradually, get comfortable looking at yourself, and start embracing different things about yourself. So, what was that journey like for you to kind of like, okay, I know I have this scar or this indent or whatever, but I'm still beautiful. So how did you kind of redefine beauty for yourself?
Understanding that, and I'm not a pro at this now. I want to put this out because
No,
there are
no,
days.
nobody said you were, but this
Yeah.
is about you and how did you
Yeah.
get through it?
Okay, because there are still days where I look at myself, and I'm just like, I got all these steroid injections in the side of my face, so it made my face so big. That's something that I, wasn't just so proud of.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that self-talk. We are our own worst critic. I feel like that. And
Yeah.
I look at myself, and I still have to remind myself, I leave my notes on my mirror and I just say, Tara, you were left here for a reason. So
Mm-hmm.
you embrace what I left you with and you make it work for you. And honestly, that's just where I am with it.
Okay. Well, that's good, and I'm glad you're on the other side because there's a lot of people who aren't. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people really going through it.
Right, right.
The next question I want to ask you is, what advice would you offer to a woman who is struggling to embrace their own unique features? I mean, I know you've overcome some things that you did not particularly want to happen, physically to yourself. So, what would you say to someone else who's struggling? And how can they maybe, I guess, ignore society's standards? Society has these beauty
Yes,
standards. So, how do
yes.
you just tell someone, you know what, don't worry about that? You are you and you are beautiful regardless of whatever has happened. How would you encourage a woman who's struggling?
I think about it because we define I can't say pretty. The word pretty in that description is not beauty. There's a difference between being pretty and being a beautiful person.
Mm-hmm.
Beauty comes from within. You can be a pretty person, pretty face, but still have a bad attitude. So
Mm-hmm.
I use that to say you have to find the positives within. Focus on yourself, focus on ways to improve yourself within so that it does shine on the outside. And that does help to me with society and the different types of views that society states you're supposed to have. You know, we look at people that are we focus on clothing, we look at TV, we look at hair, you know, the long tresses of hair, and we think, oh my God, they're so beautiful. But we don't know what they have going on inside. We don't know what they have going on internally. So I do say that those are important factors. You have to focus within, pay attention within.
Yeah, you know what? And I know I've ran into so many people who look beautiful and then their attitudes are just nasty. You be like,
Yes,
oh,
yes, yes,
okay,
yes.
yeah, I don't like you.
Yeah, right.
Or even when we see on TV, like just look at the reality shows. Like you'll see these beautiful women out here having these businesses and doing this and doing that, but they messy.
Yes, yeah.
Or it's like, oh, I would not want their life at
Right,
all. Like
right,
you can keep it. I love my little life right here.
right. I always try to do right by people. You know, and I have my friends, some of them tell me they call me a public defender for others. And, you know, but I just try to do the right thing. And I try to see stuff from different perspectives because I have to remember everybody doesn't think like me.
Yeah.
I do believe, you know, there's a difference in being nice and kind, you know, and it is a big difference. I'm a kind person. At least I try my best to be a kind person to everyone. And I try to smile. They always say I have a straight face, but I'm learning to smile more. That makes people open up more to you, you know. So those are some things that we can do also.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I'm the same way. I have like I don't know, a mean looking face.
Yeah.
And I'm just resting. It's
Yes.
everybody thinks I'm mad. And I'm like,
Right.
I'm not mad, I'm
Not
fine.
mad. Yeah.
So I've been trying to work on not so much smiling, but trying to soften my appearance a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Right.
some things, you know, it's just natural. That's just how you are. You've been this way
Right.
all your life. So it's kind of like it's hard for me to be like, it
Yeah, and I
is
don't want to
fake.
do that.
So I mean, I'm always trying to be like genuine, but
Right.
it's a struggle because I'm
Right.
like I
It
am not
is.
mad, and then I get irritated when people keep asking, "Are you okay? Are you mad?"
Like,
Fine, nothing
what's supposed to be
happened.
wrong with me, you know? So
All right, so tell us what are some things I know for me. I when I was losing my hair and going through the whole journey, it's certain things you do to kind of make yourself feel better, look better. Even when I shaved my hair off for the first time, even though I loved it,
yeah.
it was, well, not the first time, excuse me, the second time. That's when I loved it. The first time I did not. Um, but like I would do things like always making sure I had cute earrings
Yeah.
on, or
That's a
just
must.
certain little things. So what are some things you do to kind of make sure you always feel good when you're stepping out the door? Because it's not easy to walk out the house bald, as a
No.
bald woman, especially because
Right.
people are always going to look. They're
Yes.
always going to be like,
Yeah.
So what are some things you do to make yourself or boost yourself up when you walk out the door?
Everything you just mentioned as far as the earrings, I'm gonna make sure I've started this self-care as far as having a bald head with my bald head, and I like to do a steady routine with washing, and
Okay, tell us about that routine. I want to hear.
well, I don't shave my head anymore.
Okay.
I use the hair remover cream.
Like
Just
a
the
nair?
simple. Yeah, no, it's like a nair, but it's not nair. It's actually for men and beards.
Okay.
And I always use that. I exfoliate after that. I make sure I use a moisturizing shampoo. I think it's dark cream of nature. That's what it is with the organ oil in it. I use that, and then I shower it off, making sure I get a lot of steam to it. And then I use vitamin E oil, coconut oil. I mean, it's just a mixture. My head is gonna always be shining. I just want my head to shine. I want people to see my bald head. And
That's
I try
right.
to make sure, yeah, like it's all together. But I laugh because I went from spending money buying wigs to once I got my bald head, I have to have lashes on. Like I don't have long lashes naturally. I don't do the extra long ones, but I have a girlfriend that she started doing my lashes years ago, and I had to have lashes. And I just recently started doing the extensions myself, like
Oh,
the
I love
trip,
those. Okay.
so I can do it myself. But I've been driving before. Like I'll leave home, drive, and maybe you take a look at yourself in the mirror and I realize I don't have my lashes on. I'll drive back across town to get some lashes before I but it's just something that makes me feel better. And I'm gonna always keep on a larger pair of earrings, and try my best. I'm not a heavy makeup wearer. I'm not one of those people that get up and make my face up every day.
Yeah.
But I will put on lip gloss, lipstick, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's me too. I need to have earrings. They don't have to be
Yeah.
big ones. I just
Yeah.
need some earrings.
Right.
And like just put some lip gloss or Vaseline
Mm-hmm.
on my lips, some moisture on my face, and I'm ready to roll.
Right.
I don't wear
Yep.
too much makeup either unless
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing something that's
Right.
is needed. But yeah, I keep it simple. But I also do fun little things like my hair wraps. Like anytime I go somewhere, whether it's like a festival or if I'm in another country and I see like a pretty fabric,
Mm-hmm.
I always pick up a piece because I love to do my hair wraps
Yeah.
especially when it's cold outside.
Right.
Because, our bald heads get cold. We want to
Yep.
keep it warm. So just making it cute and it's always going to jazz up an outfit.
Yes, it will. And I love
Yeah.
your scarf. I'm a beanie
Thank you.
girl in the winter time. I
Mm-hmm.
just ordered some silk scarves for the summer to try and put with different outfits or whatnot. I'm not a baseball cap person because
Okay.
it just makes my face just, I don't know, it's bigger. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm into the new style with the trucker cap, so I'm trying my best to try to get some of those, and we're gonna see how that works. But yeah, any type of style, I'm for it.
Yes, you got to just think about, what makes you feel good.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be anything extravagant. It could be dressing, keep putting on dresses. Now, I do love a
Absolutely.
good dress when it gets to spring and summer.
Yes.
Give me my sundresses, my off the shoulder. I like my
Yep.
off the shoulder
Hmm.
shirts. That's me. That's my thing. Now, with your hair loss, I know sometimes, and maybe all the time, your thoughts about beauty change because they have to, right? When you
Right.
look at yourself in the mirror and you don't have hair, you still have to know that you're beautiful, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
how did you get to that place? Like how did your definition of beauty change and what was that process?
I mean, I guess it still goes back to me stating that having a pretty face and being beautiful is different. Though I genuinely feel that way. Your attitude speaks a lot as far as beauty. And understanding that it does come from within. I wouldn't sit here and lie and say that it was easy for me, because there are plenty of times where I'm thinking, like you just stated, you can have on the nicest outfit and still like something is really missing. Like
Mm-hmm.
I really think if I had hair on my head, this would look better.
Mm-hmm. Or
But
you see somebody with a hairstyle, you're like, "Ooh, I
yes,
wish I can get that.
yes,
It's
yes,
so
yes.
pretty,"
Yep. But
Yeah.
then I think back to how uncomfortable I felt when
Mm-hmm.
I was trying that. And that gives me peace in knowing that I did all I could. So there's a reason why I'm supposed to be bald head, and I just accept
Yes.
it. Like I really do accept it. Like I said, kids, they really point. It's funny walking in stores and you see kids looking at you and just
Mm-hmm.
pointing stuff, and their parents are so embarrassed. And I'm just like, it's fine. It's perfectly okay, but it gives me comfort in being able to help somebody else along the way. You have so
Definitely.
many people that, well, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, you have people that walk up to you and they're like, how long has it been? And I'll get to
Mm-hmm.
talking. One day I was actually in a store and a lady walked up to me and she said, I've been watching you because I live in a small town. She was like, I've been watching you. She said, you really carry yourself well with your bald head. And she was like, you really inspired me. She had a wig on, but she
Mm-hmm.
lifted her wig and showed me that she had shaved her hair. So we started a conversation. And I was
Mm-hmm.
asking her, I said, well, you're beautiful. Like, why not wear your bald head? And probably like 2 weeks later, she made sure that she came to my job because, like I said, I live in a small town. So
Uh-huh.
she knew where I worked and she showed she didn't have a wig on. And that meant the world to me, And I just
Mm-hmm.
told her, you make it work for you. So
Yes. And
yeah.
I've had those similar
Right.
experiences, and it's just good, like you said, to be an inspiration to someone else,
Hmm.
because there are a lot of women out here, and I'm not gonna say all, but there are a lot of women out here who have hair loss and they don't want to wear the wig, but they're
Right.
just afraid not to wear the
Right.
wig. But then you
Right.
also have women who have hair loss who like, I'm not showing the bald head, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
always wear this wig. So you have
Right.
different, aspects or different opinions about it, and that's fine. It's totally
Mhm.
fine. But to be an inspiration to someone else, and it's a beautiful thing. It is. It's a really
It is.
beautiful thing. So just accepting who you are, regardless of whatever it is you may not like. What was like the most powerful lesson you've learned about just embracing you? Whether it was embracing, like you said, you don't like your weight, so just embracing that, or embracing your scar, or embracing the baldness. Like, did you have you learned any lessons from that, like about yourself?
Yeah, I can truly say, I said a strong check on your strong friends sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I am one of the stronger ones. I really am. When you go through different things in life, you tend to have a different perspective on it, and you appreciate life. There are things that you don't take for granted. So I think that would be my biggest lesson. I learned not to take life for granted. I appreciate some of the struggles that I have had. I don't have a horrible story. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of when you're growing and going through two brain surgeries, personality changes. That has been a lot. Like I said, I would not be right here if I was 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel that I don't think I would have the confidence to be able to walk around with a bald head at 30 years old. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just me. I learned to appreciate myself. I found different talents that I have,
Okay.
that I was just sitting on simply because there were other things that I was focused on. And it's been great. It really has been great for me.
Yeah, I can say like for myself, I guess the most valuable lesson, and it's not really related. Well, could it be kind of related to hair loss because it was
Mm,
a stressful situation. But when my like former husband passed away, like that was an extremely stressful
yeah.
situation. Now I was
Sorry.
already experiencing hair loss,
Mm,
but that kind of like took it to another level as well,
right.
because I was going through so many different things. But the lesson I learned just from that experience and just going through life, without hair, or, this part of life without hair, is that life is short. That's one
Yeah.
thing. And that made me realize, like, you don't have time to play. Like,
No.
you don't have time to just be out here without a purpose and a mission and actually working towards it.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to say I always knew what that mission or purpose was. I
Right.
may have had to dabble around or figure some things out, but I can say that when I actually made the decision to start talking about my hair loss and like
Mm,
getting into this space, that made me realize, or I'm still realizing, like, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, hair loss happened to me for a reason.
yeah.
And I spent a lot of time saying, oh, no, I'm not going to talk about it, or I'm not going to share my experience, or no, I don't know these people online. They're going to say something crazy to me.
Yeah.
I went through a lot of that. But when I actually stepped into it and said, okay, it's like that surrender moment, like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and do it. This is what you're telling me to do. So, all right, I don't know what's gonna happen. But from that, so many other things are happening. And
Yep.
I'm enjoying what's happening.
Yes.
Versus before, it felt like, oh, I'm working, working, working. I'm tired, I'm burnt out.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm working, 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 but I'm feeling good about this work,
Yep. That's the
So,
truth. That's absolutely the truth. My purpose, I was just telling a seasoned friend of mine this the other day. I know
mhm,
my purpose is to help others. Like, I'm
mhm,
here to help others. I work with a local funeral home. I love it. People ask me all the time, how do you do it? But to just be able to help families through that weak moment in their lives, is good for me. There is a lot that I try to do and the lessons are great in understanding and learning that I do have a purpose in life.
Definitely. We all do. We all
Yeah,
we just
we
got to
do.
figure it out.
Right, right.
Sometimes we might get off track or trying to do something
Yes,
else or fulfill
yep,
someone else's purpose when we need to be working on ours. But
yep.
we get back to track eventually.
Yeah, we do. We do. I'm
So
a
can
sucker for helping others.
So can you think about a moment in your life or, while you've had hair loss where you've just felt the most confident, like or the most empowered? Have you had one of those experiences? And if you have, could you share what that was?
I won't just say moments of feeling empowered. It's just like I said, it's a normal thing for me. But I do find myself like I was saying earlier, where people will come up to me, and give me compliments. And I used to ask, it's like, are these people giving me compliments because they feel sorry for me,
Mm-hmm.
or what is it? So that used to bother me.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that I'm there to, like, people pay attention to you, and there could be something that you notice in a person, you compliment them on, because that's the area that you're weak in within, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to bring that out, I may not appear because I'm a talker, but I'm a very shy person. Like I'm kind of shy.
Mm-hmm.
So I really just haven't thought about a moment where I just felt extremely empowered. I have friends. I have a girlfriend that just asked me a few weeks ago. We were out and they wanted pictures. They were asking for pictures to be taken. So it was myself and two other bald women. And so
Mm-hmm.
she asked me later, she was like, you don't feel some type of way when people be wanting to take a picture? I always want to talk to you about your bald head. And I was like, no. She was like, it seemed like they just single you out. And I said, well, I don't look at it like that. If whatever I
Mm-hmm.
can do to help somebody, because you never know what they may have going on, So
Right.
that was just the way I always take it. I'm a silent empowerer, I guess,
Mm-hmm. I know. I
I just,
totally get it. I
yeah,
totally get it. I'm that person, like behind off this camera, I'm very kind of quiet, reserved.
yeah,
I'm silly, goofy, but I would
yeah,
consider myself an introvert. But when
yep,
I'm on, like talking about this on the podcast or on anything, it's like I'm a different person,
yeah,
but I'm not a different person. Like it's still a part of me, but
yeah.
this is the part of me that gets excited. This is the part of
I
me
understand.
that is social, more interested in meeting more people and really
Yeah,
getting to know the person I'm talking to,
right.
because
I get it.
that's a part of being an introvert too, though. Like we
Yeah, it
like to genuinely get to know people and not have the fluffy conversation. We want to have a real conversation.
is.
So that helps me too. But I'm the same way. I'm like, I could sit in the corner and be quiet and be very content for days.
Yep. And that's it. I never considered myself just an introvert, but I had someone to tell me, you really are. Like, you're a social butterfly in some ways, but you in a certain aspect, you really can just be by yourself, and in
Hmm.
conversation. I'm the hard question asker. I
Yep.
try to get deep down into it. Like, why? Well, so what's the root of this? It has to come from
That's me.
somewhere.
And I know I've learned now as I've gotten older that I make people uncomfortable because people just they're not used to having real conversations.
I
They
guess
are
so.
used
Maybe
to
that's
the
it.
fluff.
That's
So they
it.
get uncomfortable and they don't want to talk to me. Like I have people
Yeah.
in my family who like probably is trying to shy away from me because I'm the one like, if you want to talk to me, let's have a real conversation.
Yeah.
Don't just ask, hey girl, how you doing? Are you okay? Is
Yeah.
something happened? Like I'm gonna be like, do you need some therapy? You may need to
Yeah.
go do this.
Right.
That one, and then I'm sure people like, girl, I don't want to hear all that, but that's
Just
me.
say it.
And I have to realize that everybody ain't gonna like it, and I gotta pull back, and
Yeah.
but that's me totally. Like,
Mhm.
give me the deep conversation. Let me know for real what's up.
I always ask the question when I notice like someone is acting kind of different. Have I ever done anything to offend you? Because honestly, tell me, because I may not know, and I want to make
Hmm.
this right. I just want to make it right. So maybe I'm a little too deep with it. I don't know.
Now, we were talking a little bit before we started the podcast about something you're working on. So you're wearing a shirt, and I asked you about your shirt because I'm like, I like that. The
Thank
Baldy
you.
Confidence,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Tell everybody, what is Baldy Confidence? What are you working on?
Bald head confidence is actually a movement, and Baldy is just the name that I'll use on the side for it. And bald head confidence is doing just what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to empower bald head women to actually start embracing their baldness. Like, we were given bald heads for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the reason is, we find a way to embrace that. Let's share some different ideas on what we can do to actually embrace it. Let's help each other with the confidence side of it. I am not to boast or anything, but I'm very confident in my wearing my bald head. Like, I am. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it's just something internally, but I have not thought about hair since I went bald. I
Okay.
really haven't. And I just want women to not struggle with that. And for those that do struggle with it, let's still find a way that we can help them, in the struggle, and not feel that it's the end of the world, or not feel that they're not beautiful or
Mm-hmm.
loved because they do have a bald head. So
Okay.
this is what I'm trying to do.
All righty. So with that, you have created the shirts like the one you're wearing.
Yes.
You have several of them, or
Yes, I
okay.
have this one, like the one I'm wearing, and I have a couple of more that will drop. I have one that it gives the definition of a baldy, and a baldy is a bald and confident, beautiful, confident woman. And then I have a couple of more.
Okay. All right. So whenever you launch your t-shirt line,
Yes.
where can people find it, or how can they connect with you so that you can make an announcement and they know about it and they can go grab a shirt? Can you provide that information?
Yes, go ahead and follow me on Facebook. I'm getting into the social media thing. I'm only on Facebook now. Know if I need to be embarrassed just saying that or what, but
You don't.
follow follow Tara Fields on Facebook. An announcement will be made. We're hoping to drop within the next 30 days. We still got a little work to do, but we'll definitely have some merchandise. We're gonna go ahead and have some patches so you can put on your jackets, your hats. We're gonna
Hmm.
have some sparkle cloths, which will be just sweat rags. Because bald heads do sweat, so we need to
Yes.
have something, to take care of that. And
Okay.
we're hoping to have some other maintenance items for bald heads.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Okay, so you're gonna have the merchandise.
yes.
Now, what else are you gonna be doing?
Just I'm aiming. You've inspired me to start podcasting, so that would definitely be a thing. We're gonna host some different conferences that we can pull into, because in my area it's a small area, and we
Hmm.
need those advocate groups.
Okay.
There are a couple in town, but we really want to make sure that we include everyone. Everyone is what we're trying.
Okay. Good. Now, Tara, I was not going to let you get off this podcast without talking about everything you're planning on doing besides your merchandise. So, I have to pull that on out of you.
Yeah, you did. You pulled it out. And I'm excited. Like, this is my first podcast, and I'm very, like, I was excited to do it. It was just something that I decided to do. I saw you and I was like, okay, it's like you look, and I was like, I think I'm gonna give it a try. And I'm
Yes.
glad I did. I'm glad I did.
Yep, there you go. And you've had a great experience. Now you're
Yeah.
confident and ready to do your own podcast, and we will be able to tune in and listen to all of your
Yes.
great content, as well as see some of your great events that you'll have coming up
Yes.
in your merchandise, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, all righty. Well, thank you so much, Tara, for sharing your story, being open, being vulnerable, and
Yes.
comfortable just talking about your journey. Okay. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
You are welcome.
All right, you guys. I'm about to wrap it up soon, but before I wrap it up, I gotta have an announcement. We are still looking for people who would like to be featured on the Bougie Baldie TV show, which is an extension of the Bougie Baldie podcast. So, if you are a business owner that has a product or service that may be related to hair in general, it could be hair care, hair loss, hair replacement, whatever that may be. If you're a healer or someone who supports women's health or women's empowerment, we're looking for you too, right? Also, if you are a person who has experienced or a woman who's experienced hair loss and want to share your journey, or your hair loss has led you into different work that you do now, we would like you as well. So we have featured spots for businesses for you to have a full episode to be visible and promote yourself globally. And we also have spots on our panel. So if you're interested in being on the Bougie Baldie TV show, I'm going to put a link in the description for you to schedule a call, and we can see if you will be a good fit, and we'll go from there. Okay. So if you're interested in being on the Bougie Baldie TV show, make sure you click that link in the description and book a call with me. All right. As well as take a look at Tara's Facebook. Her information, her link to her Facebook page will also be in the description or the show notes. So you guys can follow her as well. So you can find out about what's happening in the future with her and her business. All right. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back to you next week. From my heart to yours. Bye.
Bye.
Are you a woman struggling with hair loss, feeling unattractive and insecure? At Limitless Mindset Coaching, we understand the emotional toll that hair loss can take. In just 90 days, we help you transform from feeling lost and embarrassed to radiating with confidence and joy. Imagine building your self-esteem, discovering the perfect camouflage technique to cover up your hair loss, and receiving tips and tricks that can help you with your hair loss and embrace the new you while connecting with a supportive community of women just like you. Say goodbye to those negative emotions and hello to a positive mindset. Picture vibrant new relationships, walking through the room with your head held high, participating in social events and activities again, and living a life filled with happiness. Are you ready to take that first step? Well, visit www.limitlessmindsetcoach.com or click the link in the description today, and let's embark on this empowering journey together.
Thank you for watching the Bougie Baldie Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe